close or separated. They can be jutted right next to one another. Meant to indicate swiftly passing technology, passing of time technologically. And there is a wire going across. And of course, you see, I hope you can see that it's desert and ocean. And in the sky, there are what one could call fireworks. I call the painting child's play because, pardon me, I made a war that was being held by children, and they're shooting M&Ms into the air. You see the little dots, those are candies. This is quite a contrast to our present day scenario, but my background in religious background is very conservative. And we didn't believe in war, and I still don't. So when I painted this, I guess I was concerned about this sort of buildup of momentum of war consciousness. And the other work that is pale blue, the one below, and these two, and that one in the corner, all have the common theme of color. These three are jars with feathers, and frankly, there is an intimate relationship that I will not spell out, from which I got the suggestion to use feathers in jars together. And hello, neighbor. Hi.
Hello.
So once I was told that, it took me some years to let this concept gel and take form in my mind. I wanted it to suggest that people had been there, and a long time ago, but there was an enduring, persistent, undying continuum that they are capturing, and that the jars, of course, were made by human beings thousands of years ago. The feathers miraculously survived the eons, and I just wanted a reminder of past civilizations and a sense of a kind of community and a love of nature that would have been experienced then. This one is submerged underwater. There is a feather and a jar. And there are more of those jars made eons ago, more of them. And this one is submerged in water. Now you wouldn't find a feather like that underwater, but this one survived. And it's almost as though the contents of a ship could have been cast onto the seafloor, just strewn out. So there's a relationship there between that painting and these three. The painting with the bird up in the corner is a ceramic piece that I own. A bird, I call this mother bird, with her daughter or a son, I don't know. It's a little bird, and it is a most affectionate kind of sculpture, I think, that this artist has created. I wanted to preserve it in paint. I wanted to put it in the context of a place where it was strangeness. A mother protecting the child in a place of strangeness. And I got pieces of paper and folded them. And I enjoy very much creating the illusion of 3 dimensions. It's just an environment in which this mother and child are content and fine. Yes?
So Diana, how many hours do you spend painting?
Hours and hours.
Yeah.
I can't. I have had, pardon me, registers. I've had charts with my hours, but it takes hours because it is a pains. Some people deny the value of it, but it's a painstaking process that I learned from a painter named Edwin Dickinson in New York City. And it's a matter of mixing out the values, the various values, the lightest, the medium, and the darkest values separately on your palette, and then either with the palette knife or the brush, putting them on with separate brushes, a different brush for each value. And so you even have a brush to blend. So you end up with a handful of brushes and a great deal of time spent. But it's gratifying for the person who loves to create a 3-dimensional image.
Do you have a studio, or do you work in your home?
I have been using my condo, much to the consternation of others, but I have done it, and I had my show last summer at Woodbury Gallery, where I had 30 paintings, and I did all of them in my studio.
Wow. That's a lot of work.
Yeah. It takes time, and then I'll have days when I don't touch it.
So just as an aside, you're currently also having a virtual show at the Southbury Library, so folks can see a broader selection of your work if they go to your virtual show this month.
Yes.
Diana, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Bill and Jennifer are a dynamic duo. They're both quite talented, and they both ran an art gallery in Norwalk
Yes.
for 7 years?
5.
5 years. Well, I'm close.
Yeah.
Yeah. So very talented and very involved in the art world, and it's a pleasure to also have Bill here as part of the current show. Please welcome William, and I'm going to screw it up, Gramigna.
Well, that's the English or American way to say it.
And
Gra-meen-ya.
Gramigna. Gramigna.
Well, my background in art. I grew up with a dad who was a fine artist. And he was painting in Canada, he's Canadian, painting in Canada from the day he was born. He painted everything. He painted the walls in our house, he painted the ceilings. He was just out of his mind with paint. But he was an inspiration. Only problem is he didn't make any money. So I watched him struggle for most of my life. He did work a little bit. He was an engineer and a machinist, so he did some real sharp work in machinery and stuff like that. But art was his love, and he never stopped. He painted forever. So I said, well, I love to paint. I love to play with creative things, but I have to make money. So how am I going to do that? Well, first I said to him, he said, where do you want to go to college? I said, well, I'd like to go to Southampton. He said, Southampton? Why Southampton? I said, well, I'm thinking of being a marine biologist. He said, a marine biologist? You don't even like the water. You don't swim. We have a pool, you never even swim. You know how to swim? So we laughed about it. He said, you're going to go to LIU in downtown Brooklyn. And that's where you're going to go. Luckily, it was a good move because that's where Jennifer went to school. And that's where we met. And over 50 years later, here we are. Anyway, LIU didn't have very many art classes. They had a photography class. They had a drawing class. You know, it was really very basic. So I didn't do very much with that. But you know, during the time in between, you know, I had a motorcycle, I took it apart, I airbrushed the tank, put some birds on there, mountains, made it look really cool. Put a big king and queen seat on there. And Jen and I used to go over the Brooklyn Bridge into Brooklyn. Like this. You know, you go with the grade, and with the go. You have to go fast to stop that. You see, you're going too fast over that. So we decided to eliminate that and go under the tunnel. So we go through the tunnel and everything was fine. So what happened? So now I finished school, I have to do something. I was playing in a band. We were up in Westchester playing. Met a good friend who was there. His dad owned a promotion agency. Please, come on in. We don't want you to miss a word. It's just getting good.
It's just getting good.
Anyways, I met a friend and we were playing. He said, so what are you doing? I said, well, I'm playing music 3 nights a week, 4 nights a week, making $75. I'm selling Christmas trees, working at a plant store in Brooklyn on Flatbush Avenue. And, you know, just kind of doing that. He said, you know, my dad has a promotion agency. He said, and we could use somebody. You've always been into art and stuff in your house. I said, I'd love it. So I took a job. I ended up working there for 7 years with a guy, his dad, who was fabulous, taught me so much. And at that time, illustrators were the big thing. They had illustrators. Every art studio had an illustrator on staff because everything was painted. Photography was good, but everything was painted. All the golf magazines, all painted. So I really loved illustration, old illustration. Hence, my work is pretty much illustration. It's not real deep oil painting. It's just illustration. Clean, fast, bright, strong. And it, you can see it in a magazine. For an ad for an MG, ahead of its time, or darling, they're staring at our 52 Dodge, you know, stuff like that. It's the car of the year, the one and only new car in its field. It's a 49 Ford. And it was so uninteresting, the car, that I put a cover over it. So you don't know whether there's a car underneath that cover. That cover will peel off, the black cover. You can peel it right off. But you don't know if there's a cover in there if there's a car under there or not. And the only way you're gonna find out is if you buy the painting. Anyway, from after 7 years working for this gentleman, I opened my own packaging design, new product development company, and I was in business for 33 years. It turned out to be a real good option. So I managed to, up to this point, be able to be involved in the arts and do art for my entire career, which was, and get paid for it, get paid pretty good for it, which was something my dad didn't do, but he'd come to the studio every day and we'd fight over colors. I was doing some post cereal boxes and post red. Everybody knows that the post logo is red. So I said, I had to airbrush some stuff and I had to do a logo and it was supposed to be red. So I said to my dad, we said, you want to make me some colors? Because he's very good at color. He said, sure, I'll make you some colors. I said, I need post red and a couple other colors, because we airbrush these things. So he'd go back and he loved to airbrush. He would hold it like this, the airbrush. And he'd spray so much paint. Oh. Anyway, he comes back with the color for the post logo, and it's blue. I said, Pop, this one goes red. He said, I know. He said, but that package, blue works much better. It's your job to go to them and tell them that blue works better for this package, and they should use it. Well, that was the end of his color making. But so it turned out to be a great living for 33 years. The last 5 years, we downsized so small that we had 5 people working for us, and we were in a little shop in South Norwalk, which we love South Norwalk. Never knew I would, but we really liked it. And in that space, we were able to build a inner wall. It was 11 12-foot windows, maybe a little bigger than that went around, and the building curved around the corner. So inside the building, we had a 50-foot wall that curved around the corner on the inside. And I lit it up, we dramatically lit it up with stage lighting, and we opened a gallery. It was called the Sidewalk Gallery. And you can walk by and see the exhibit at any time. The lights were on until 1, 2 in the morning sometimes. And Jen and I would set up the exhibit. In fact, we would cover the windows after the first exhibit with paper. And what would happen was the neighborhood, it was a tough neighborhood too, they would think we went out of business already. And then the paper would come off and there'd be a new exhibit. And we'd light up the exhibit and we'd come by at night to see how it looked, and we'd scream like 2 little kids. Oh my God, look at it. But so we ended up doing 28 exhibits. And I met so many artists, and I watched how they worked, and each one of them worked a little differently. Some were more like me, more like an illustrator, and some were real painters, and they taught me so much just by watching and listening and talking to them, that when I retired in 2019, put the computer away, and I was an expert. I did 3D renders, and I made things look like they existed, and they didn't exist yet, but they looked that way on the screen. And I retired in 2019 and picked up a brush and haven't turned back. So I'm saying this is my turn now. And so this is what I brought you this time. And next time it'll be something a little different. There's not much to say about each of these pieces. They just happen. And that's pretty much it. And we enjoyed that. So thank you all for coming. I really appreciate that. And Faith,